Hey, welcome to yet another day on Django Web Development. We're going to continue our App 18, the restaurant menu web app. So just to wrap up what we did yesterday. Yesterday we basically built the backbone of our app, which is the code in models.py. So models.py is under the restaurant menu directory. As I mentioned, this defines the backbone of a Django app. So it tells you what data we have to display on the website. So if we see the end product, which is something we're going to build, so we haven't built this front end yet. I'm just showing you the app that I made behind the camera. So all these reflect to that database model. But to be able to materialize these data into an actual visual front end like this one here, we need to create views and we need to create HTML templates. So today we're going to focus on building views and HTML templates so that we are done with this app. We're also going to develop the admin interface today, so let's do all that in the next videos. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, in this video we're going to write the views of our Django app. So we already have the models in models.py under restaurant menu, and under restaurant menu, this directory, we also have a views.py file, which was generated by Django automatically. However, it's just an almost empty file. We do have this import here, so you can leave that import and you can delete this comment. So this comment is indicating that we need to create our views here. Now, just to refresh your memory, we did already create views in our previous Django app, which was this one here. So I've just switched to another project, app 17. You don't have to open this project. I'm just going to refer to what we did. So here I've opened views.py of the Django form or project. In this project, we used a function-based view. So index was our view here, which returned the index.html template. So the purpose of a view is to get data from the models, from the database model, and display those data back and forth to the HTML front end. Right? That's the purpose of a view. Now, we have function-based views such as this one here, but we also have class-based views. That is something we're going to learn to do in our app 18, in our current app now. So you can create class-based views using the class keyword, followed by a name you want to give to that class. Now, why class-based views and not function-based views? Well, each of the two has its own advantages and disadvantages. The class-based views tend to have less code, so they are cleaner, as you'll see. So some people tend to prefer class views and some other people prefer function views. For you as a learner, it's important to learn both, and then you can decide which one to use when you develop your own project. So I'll call this menu list view. I'll explain what this does, what's the purpose of this view as we write the code, but this view has to inherit from a list view class, which is something we need to import. So we need to import generic from django.views import generic, and then this underline will go away. So there we go. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create a view for this page, right? And basically we have two types of pages. This page here, which is represented by the menu list class, this view. And then we have another type of page, which are these individual pages. So for example, pizza, Greek salad. So this type of page will be represented by another class, which will be defined in here, class menu item detail, something like that, which will inherit from generic.detail view. So that's a Django class. That is also a Django class. Let's pass for now. We will develop this class later. So each of these classes are designed for particular, very particular type of pages. So the menu list class is good to display pages which have lots of data. So a list type of page. It could be this menu here, or it could be the front page of a blog where you have different blog links, right? And then the user clicks on one of those blogs, and then that page that opens, the blog itself, is represented by the other class, the class which inherits from detail view. So what do we write here now? Well, a list type of view, such as this one here, which displays list of data, has to have a query set variable. A query set, like that. Query set is a variable which will store the list of data. You get those using item. What is item? Well, item is import item. It is this class here, right? In models.py, yesterday we developed this class which represents the database table. So we import that class. So basically with this we are querying the data from the database table. Now we don't have any data, any rows in that table, but when we add data later on in the admin interface, as a cook, we will add some meals and so on. Then this query set will get those data. You can order them using the order by method. You can order them by one of these fields. For example, let's take date created. I'll copy that and put it here as a string inside quotes, date created. And if you want to reverse the order, you just enter a minus before this. So minus date created. And then if I go again to app 17, which was the Django form, you remember that, this one here, where we had the function-based views. In here you'll see that we returned the render function, and then the render function had this index.html as a template. Now, with class-based views, this is a bit different. Let's switch again to app 18, this current app. With class-based views, you just write a template name variable, exactly like that. So variable names in this class need to have specific names. So query set with lowercase template underscore name, because Django will look for these templates. So instead of returning something with the return keyword, you just write a specific variable name, and that will be equal to index.html. And that's all we have to do with the menu list view. Now, before we develop the index.html code, let's also complete the menu item detail class view. So for this, you're going to have to declare the module variable. Again, this is a predefined variable name, which has to equal to the module name. So this item module, which is imported from models.py, right? This class. And then here, you just declare the template underscore name to be equal to perhaps menu item detail.html. So this is also a file which we're going to create in our directory here. So this file and this file here are two files we still have to create in our project directory. So let's go ahead and create those two files. You need to create them inside a particular folder named templates, and that folder has to be inside the project root directory. So I'll collapse these folders to make it more clear where we are. So then right click over the project directory, go to new, go to directory and type in templates. So the name has to be exactly like this, templates, lowercase with an S at the end. Press enter. That will create this empty directory here under app18 restaurant menu. Then inside this directory, I want to create two HTML files. So right click, go to new HTML file, type in index.html. It's not necessary if you are creating an HTML file through PyCharm, so you can just press enter without providing the extension, because PyCharm will add the extension automatically. So PyCharm just created an almost empty HTML file here, so you can add some content inside the body tags, for example an h1 tag, and say menu here, or restaurant menu. So restaurant menu will be displayed on the front end in big 8 headings. Let's also create the other file, which is, let's see the name of this, menu item detail, menu underscore item detail. I'm going to copy this and right click over templates, go to HTML file, paste that name, press enter, and let's do the same here, h1. Let's say here menu item, right? So we have two pages. One is for this page. So this page is the end product. We haven't built this yet. I built this behind the camera, as I mentioned before. And then we have this other page, which will represent these pages, right? But now we don't have any data. We just have some static text. So for now, let's simply connect the views to these two files. And we already did that. So when you say template name is equal to index.html, that means you have connected this view to that front-end page. And then you have connected this model, the item model, from models.py to this view. So basically we have connected the model to the view and the view to the HTML. However, what we haven't connected yet is the URL part, which means that when the user visits a URL, that URL, for example, the homepage URL, that URL has to be connected to this view. So this view has to be triggered when the user visits that URL. So as a programmer, you do that linking by going to restaurant menu, your app directory, right click and create a new Python file, call it url.py. So there we go, url.py has just been created, and here you want to import from django.urls, import path, also from the current directory, the local directory, which is restaurant menu, with a dot, import views. So we imported the views.py file because we need something from that file. And then you say URL patterns. So make sure the variable name is exactly like this. This will be a list. We're going to have multiple items here. The first item is a path function. So call that function with an empty string. This is an empty string because this will be the home page. So usually the home page looks like this, right? So let's say mysite.com, and there's nothing after that. But other pages will have something like menu, item, etc. So this is the home page, so the string is empty. Then we have views, menu lists. So menu list is the class in views.py. That's the class. So that means when the user visits the home page, this one here, views.menuList will be triggered, and views.menuList will send the index.html page to the user browser. That's how this works. However, here you also need to add sView. This is a method which basically renders this class as an actual view. With function-based views, we didn't need to have this. Remember, if I show you app17 and we go to urls.py, you see here we simply mentioned views.index. Index was the function-based view, this one here, right? Let's go back to app18, the current app. So as view with parentheses, we are calling that method, and you need to give a name to this. Let's say home. This will be used later in other parts of the Django app. So that's the URLs. So that's the URL code inside URL. Actually, this has to be urls.py. So let's go here, right click, go to refactor, rename, and rename it to urls.py, refactor. So Django will look for that urls.py file. And then we also need to go to my site where our project is, go to urls.py, and we also need to register our app here with the URLs of the projects. So the Django project can have multiple apps. One of the apps is restaurant menu. So we have only one app for now, restaurant menu. So we need to register the URLs of that app using include, which is something we need to import. So from django.urls import path, comma, include. This is a function which we need to call, and as parameter, as an argument, we need to pass the name of the app, which is restaurant menu .urls. URLs is the file name, right? This one here. So basically we are referring to this directory and to that file with this. And this empty string means that that's like the top subdirectory, the top URL subdirectory. So if you want all the links of your app to be accessed to whatever, for example, you put that here. And then your app URLs would be accessed to mysite.com, whatever, and then other things here depending on what URLs you have. And so that's the idea. However, we want to keep this like that. So save this and let's try out the code. So I'll go to the terminal. Make sure the virtual environment is activated. It's not activated here, so I'll close this terminal, open it again, and I see venv now. So now I'm ready to run the app. Python manage.py run server. And if your existing port is occupied, you can just say 8001. You can specify another port, for example 8002, whatever you like. So there we go, we got an error in this line. So restaurant menu views.py, I can click over that and that will take me to the exact line where the error is. Item.object. The actual property name is objects. So item.objects, and so now Django will refresh automatically. You don't need to rerun the project. So now it's running on this URL 8002, which is the port I defined manually here. And let's click that. And we don't see the content, we see an error, and I'm glad this error occurred because this will help you understand Django better. So this is saying that template does not exist at index.html. So we try to visit this URL, that URL triggered the menu list view, and the menu list view tried to render index.html, but it could not find it. So the template does not exist, right? Why? That is because we have placed templates, this directory, inside the root directory of our project. So this is directly under this. But by default, Django is programmed to look for the templates directory inside the app directory itself. So inside here. So we have two options here. Either you drag this templates directory and you drop it inside the restaurant menu, or you go to the settings of your Django project, which is under my site, settings.py, and you scroll down to templates. You have this dirs here, and here you specify templates as a name. So this is a relative path to the directory which contains the templates relative to the project root directory, because currently templates is located in here, right? So if you write that here, I do suggest you to try that, and you go to reload the page. This time we're gonna see the content, restaurant menu, which is the content we have in index.html here. So this heading. Otherwise, which is how things are done usually, is that you go to settings here, you can remove that. You don't need to explicitly mention this path here, because if templates is dragged and dropped inside your app directory, which is a restaurant menu, this is what I'm doing here, drag it there. So this is telling you, oh, are you sure you want to refactor this? So are you sure you want to place that inside the restaurant menu directory? You say yes, refactor. And now if you expand this, templates will be inside the app directory. So if you create more apps in the future for this project, you will want to keep each templates directory into their corresponding apps. But sometimes you may also want to have one templates directory in the main project. That's also the case. And if that's the case, you want to specify that directory in the dirs key here of this dictionary in settings.py. Right, let's close some of these files. So there we go. This is working, and this is the home page. As you can see, there's no subdirectory after the URL. So to wrap it up, what we did in this video was we created two class-based views. Each of them renders a particular template. We implemented this view for now. Later on, we're going to implement this so that this page is also shown when we visit a particular item. But currently, we don't have items on the web page, right? We don't have meals, because we haven't populated the database with any data yet. So later on, we're going to display the meals here. We're going to make them clickable. And then when the user clicks one of those meals, they will be shown this template. But for now, we simply implemented this homepage, this URL. So that URL calls this view, that view calls that index.html file, and so on. I hope you're getting a grasp of how Django works. So that's the idea here. We do a lot of practice, lots of examples, and so on, so you can understand the structure of a Django app, and then you can build your own Django apps independently. So thanks a lot for following this. We have some more interesting implementation to do. So I'll see you in the next video. See you. Hey, welcome back. In this video, you will learn the concept of context in Django. Context is a key feature of Django. So why is context important? Well, you'll understand that by using an example as always. So let's say that currently we have this page. This is what we built previously, right? So in this page, we want to display the meals, pizza, pasta, etc. And these meals, this data will be stored in the database. So Python will have access to the database, right? So for example, in views.py, we have Python code. So that means we need to get those data from Python to HTML. So from Python to HTML, index.html. So this here is produced by index.html. So to get those data, we use the context. So that's about theory. Now let's implement the context here. So we're talking about this page, right? The home page, which is represented by this view. So now in this view, we create a function, a method. So this is a method since it's inside the class. Get context data. You have to name this method exactly like this, get underscore context data, because this is basically a predefined method. It's a method that is part of list view of this class. So we are overwriting this method by reusing that name. So this has to have a self argument since it's inside the class. And then inside here, we create a context variable. This is the context I was talking about. Now, this context is a dictionary, and this dictionary can contain keys and values. Let's say pizza here. In this example, it's a dictionary of one key and one value for that key. And then you return that context, and then you go to your index.html. Let's split this to the right, and somewhere in between the body tags, you want to display that data. For example, let's write some h3 tags, and inside these h3 tags, you write this Jinja2 syntax. And in between you write meals. So this corresponds to the key here. And then you go to the website, refresh it, make sure you are running the app. So I'm running the app currently. You can run the app using Python manage.py run server. And so refresh the page, and there we go, we get pizza. So what I just did here is that I had this string pizza inside Python, and I was able to send that string into the front end here. So this is just a static string, but normally we're going to get these data from the database using some more lines of code here. But for now, let's just create some static strings in here. So just to demonstrate you that you can send Python values from your Python code to your HTML code, just like that. So the context, more technically, now we can speak in more technical terms. The context is a dictionary made of keys and values. In this example, it has only one key, meals, and this has this value. So the context is a dictionary, and then from your HTML templates, you can access the keys of that dictionary as variables. So you see no quotes around meals, and then this will get the value of this. This can also be a list. So you can say pizza, comma, pasta, right? If you refresh the page here, you're gonna get a list. And then I'll show you techniques how to iterate over that list to show those items one by one here as bullet points or whatever you like. And of course, we can put a comma here, and maybe I'll like expand the dictionary in the next line. And you can say ingredients, comma, and then you have a list of other things here. So this here, ingredients, can also be accessed similarly using the same syntax. Like that. Refresh, and here we have the value of ingredients. So that's how you send data from your Python code to HTML. And then what's next is that we want to create an admin interface so that we are able to add some records to our database table, some meals with their ingredients. And then we want to display those data here on the web page. So that's about for now. I'll see you in the next videos.